Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of Baseline's baby brother, 3B, the 3B, the Bronco, his baby brother, the Blanco Bronco. Every time I think I've got a name, I say something like Blanco Bronco, and then I'm like, I don't know, that's pretty good too. So after the last installment, we had too many things to fix. And I think I've fixed most of them. And it was a wonderful, about additional 4 to 5 hours. It's nice, though, because we didn't have to worry about anything powertrain related. Sorted. I feel, honestly, I don't know why. Yes, I do. I could get away with an 1800 in this. There's a 1200 in there, but basically my 1200 recommendation on these is class 2s. On a class 1, I would let wrinkle. There's a wrinkle in that decal. I would like to be able to get a little bit more wheel speed, a little more top-end wheel speed. It's fine, though. I couldn't get the stickers off the sheet because they all have to be cut out individually, and there's like a double line, and you had to cut at the double line. And I just hope that the adhesive on the decals is pretty good. It definitely needed from back here, the camper shell painted a different color, black on the flares. I might still do it. Somewhere in this building is an Amazon mailer that's got Kamoy tape in it. This stuff. But 18 millimeter Kamoy tape. I can just mask the body, and just paint these with like Krylon Fusion because it's ABS. So that might happen. I'm definitely leaving the front windows out. It just makes it easier to pick the thing up and move the thing around. First and foremost, I said we need to work on the body situation because the body is going to continue to fall off because there's not enough pinch. I have ordered one of those just flat tray interiors, and we're going to slap that in there, and that's certainly going to help because I'm probably just going to fasten it. Like even now, that little wiggly sound, the body doesn't pinch tight enough. An RC four-wheel drive, like a Marlin body, it pinches really tight, so we'll hold on to the pegs. So I just took I used 2 pins for alignment, and then the other I just used the big head, like servo mounting screws, and then it should be impossible for it to fall off. I don't know how it would fall off. The biggest thing, and someone pointed out in the comments that they think this is too small. I agree 100%. That looks too small. But it also, I feel like it's almost like a body guide, and really it almost just kind of disappears. You don't even notice it's there. At least I don't. So the biggest thing that went on was this. So as was anticipated, every single link had to be changed. And from spinning it around on the floor, the reason that we had woeful steering to the left and passable steering to the right is, are they still on the bench? Please tell me they're still on the bench. Yes. Is these. These were obviously a cost-cutting measure, and they are only fitted to vehicles that have servo and axle. Because when I say that they're licorice, I'm not kidding. Any servo putting out more torque than the stock servo, I could watch the front upper link just bowing. So the steering would push, and this link would deflect all the way over until it was touching the chassis and just gobbling up the steering. So to turn left is this way, and it would just bow it over and eat up all the steering. The steering is still woefully imperfect, and we do have a fair amount of axle sway or swing under compression, and that axle swing comes because they've gone away from this now, but the shock tower with the link on it makes this about 7 millimeters longer than this. So the upgraded improved Ecto one moves it in about 7 millimeters. So I'll have to remake this link again, but I have another one of these exact Losi turnbuckles. So we'll remake these links so that they match perfectly. But the steering is radically improved compared to where it was. And yes, that even involved, we moved the shocks to the lower position on this so that it would sit level. These are basically just all of the links that came off of the 10.3, the CJ 10.3. And most of them didn't, like these right here, the rear lowers were just taken directly off of, they were still in the bin with the ends on them. That's why the others all have the black ends, which were from the Mias pack, where I'm still testing the very economical ends. Just pop the balls back in, and we're going to run the plastic balls until they fall apart or crush. We're just going to run them. Springs. Stock springing are SE whites in the front and SE grays in the back. Those are, SE white is 1.3 and SE gray is 2.4. We just went up one rate at both ends, and we did that by moving the grays to the front and putting blues in the back. And again, they feel way too stiff until you put the weight of the whole rig down on it, and then they don't feel oversprung at all. I had built up a second set of wheels. They are in this building. 1.9 Tusk with the blue Injoras inside them, which is what I would like to use for Class 1 testing. But in its current configuration at barely 6.5 pounds, that's not heavy enough for this insert. I love the profile of this tire. So squared off with the Injora in there. They feel good, but I can tell you right now, they need a rig that's like 8 pounds. Like, you could just fire these onto the Scottsdale right in this configuration, right like this, and they would probably be perfect, because the sidewall strength is definitely there. The drive should be there. Like, these should be really good. But for this guy, way too heavy, because you can see we're only getting a little bit of compression out of the single stage foam, meaning the side hilling will still not be optimized. So this is not going to be his permanent tire insert setup. It will be his, these are the wheels. These are the wheels, because every time I bring them in off the course after driving him, one of the inner beadlock screws has fallen out because they are completely wallowed out. So when we get closer to the determination of what will be his, like, baseline rocks a set of RTR Canyon trails on a set of orange wheels. So I think the orange wheels are appropriate. The temptation was to remove these wheels right here. Oh, I might do it. Those actually look better. Then Baseline's baby brother can run the exact same wheel that Baseline runs, the exact same Hot Storm. You know what? Yeah, that seems pretty good. So we're going to figure out what will be his day-to-day tire. I'm still leaning towards the OG flat irons, because tire test rigs don't do a lot of driving around on their basically tires that are there to hold them off the ground. They don't use them that often. So we might just go with the non-XL OG flat irons on those exact Hot Storm. Yeah, they got them. They have to match. They're brothers. They got to match. It's too bad there's not a Class 1 Canyon Trail, isn't it? I don't think Traxxas is ever really going to embrace that kind of a thing, so that's not going to happen. So spring change, all the link change, and as I had pointed out, not only does the Panhard mount put the link out too long, but when you steer, if this was energized, this thing flexes so badly that steering to this side, you can watch the whole thing go out, and the steering just goes brah, brah. Also, it stiff, not stiff, and it's because of this. It puts it at too extreme of an angle. I cannot find, I don't know what I used it for. So what I have to do is disassemble the Panhard on someone that is using GFO? No. banana. I will find someone using the Ecto/Gatekeeper metal piece, the U-shaped, the wishbone-shaped metal piece, and I will just copy it. Then we'll put a regular tower on here, and then we'll make the new link, and then it'll be sorted. He works so much better now, and I say that hubristically because he's only been driven on the floor of the building, and he also seems disarmingly light for something that is Class 1 configured. Oh, yeah, okay. Again, other things. The rear links were shortened exactly 10 millimeters. And shortening them exactly 10 millimeters, that's dead centered up, baby. We're not going to have that axle stuffing up in and binding and flipping them over backwards. These used to be perfectly centered in the wheel bow, but you will now notice they're a little bit closer, and you will notice much more up travel in the rear. We can get almost to the J Concepts logo on there, and far less in the front, far less, because on this direction, the panhard mount hits the axle, and in this direction, the drag link hits the chassis. Because the front axle was too far back in stock configuration. I think they shortened all of the links because they were setting it up SOA. So remember how I said that the body didn't line up on the old, and by old I mean baseline, versus the new one? I think they just shifted everything. They moved the front links back and then just moved everything a scotch back so that the tire was centered in the rear. Because because they could get away with it. Because the panhard isn't there. There's no panhard. Once you put a panhard on it, you realize the angle of the panhard is crazy. You'll notice now the drag link is almost perfectly parallel with the axle. I accomplished this by making all of the front links 5 millimeters longer. So the wheels are now 5 millimeters further forward, and it is just going to hit the bumper. What I needed to do, and I can't take this all on the chin because how would I know to need to do it, would have been to lengthen the front and shorten the rear, and then mount the body and do all of that stuff. So his wheelbase is 318. Hey, imagine that. Shorten these by 10, which would take us to 313, and lengthen the front by 5, and we've got 318. That's a little bit of a long wheelbase for a Class 1, but we're going to see how it goes. We are going to see how it goes. I don't mind the white at all, but I definitely do feel it needs some color. Black paint on the fender flares, and I might do this black as well. Just mask out the windows and do it. You know, just mask it out and do it. It's going to get scratched up and it's going to look really bad, but such is the plight of the working man. And we got to figure out what kind of tire to put. I'm tempted to order another set of mallets or pivots or... No, you know what? Let me look under here. Anything else under there? No. You know what? We're going to put the flat irons on there. I need to... These are way up here. I need to unmount these anyway. We are going to mount these on their stocky squishums, those memory foams, on these wheels right here. And then those will be his day-to-day mushing about wheels. But for today, we're going to take them out. We're going to drive them around on these megalithics because if you've got them, why not? I love how this looks like a shattered windshield. This guy's going to get scratched up real fast. He needs to test pivots. He's got a couple tests he needs to do, but I need to do a proper updated test on pivots, so he'll be doing that soon. Let's get him out on the rocks and see if the amount of work that went into him is going to pay off. Upper rate on the springs, moving the whole wheelbase around, replacing all the links. Feels pretty smooth on the painted wooden floor of my workshop. Let's hope that he feels the same out there. I have no idea if he's perfect, but I do know this. The handling behavior feels way more baseline. He feels so much more like his brother now. Body roll is far more controlled. It not being just a sheer mass of white. I'm at a loss as to how much better that looks. Let's stay into it here. Oh yeah, that was a rollout. The last time we were out here. The steering is still decidedly worse steering left because of the chassis side panhard mount deflection. We are going to correct that. But, oh yeah. And the turn, honestly, I'm so spoiled by the turning circle of baseline that this is a fair, like, this still turns better than a TRX-4. So we can't complain too much. We'll hop there. I think this foam might be a little soft, but it also pays out in drive. The suspension looks really good. No changes to the shocks at all other than changing the springs. And as you can see, the two screws seem to be getting the job done. And I think we could still get away with an 1800, but I think the 1200 is doing the job. I'm not even really noticing we have a shorter wheelbase than the last time we were here, but 6 millimeters. I'm not even noticing. I mean, in a perfect world, we're probably, unlike what an 11.4 shorter wheelbase is going to make a lot easier to maneuver on a small tire. I don't think they look tremendously out of place. It's much like a stock size tire, and I think I got very fortunate with how the body sits. Even if it's just a matter of getting out the paint pen and putting some kind of trimmer on the front window, Now I'm just looking at cosmetics, and that's a good thing. Yeah, he feels a lot better. Let me get him in a sun spot here. I have no recollection of what order we did tests in before. So we're gonna drive him around. We're gonna hit some spots and we're gonna see how he does. And then we're gonna go from there, as we typically do. Give you a little different eye line as the early sun is already getting hot. We're not going to have the best breakover in the world, but we do have a very grippy tire. Slide that bumper off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, buddy. That is an inarguably capable tire, and I think here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the tire isn't making up too much for holes still remaining in the performance profile. I think the link selections are pretty good. I'm okay with flat links. We're not going for absolute pure, like we're not going to put a bunch of high clearance under it and that stuff. The delight of this for me was purely picking from what was in-house. We bought, hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, guy. It is a lizard day today. We bought the body and we bought an SE on sale. End of list. Everything else was either here or was here. The motor was here. We just slapped a receiver on it. It's Baseline's radio. Which stood head and shoulders above the rest as the most used radio in the fleet, and now we're going to double down on that. Ugh. It really does pull like a train. Yeah, his suspension. Of things I am glad about today. One, we came out here, say, turning circle, not bad at all. We came out here to see if we had made things better. I think he looks, Tony the Tiger, great. And, yes, the front tire's a little far forward in the wheel well, but it's, you know, now it looks better right there. Look at how much steer angle on the wheel there compared to there, because the panhard is just deflecting completely out of the way. Yeah, we almost have enough steering. But if we go back this way, yeah, this is a little bit closer. It might not look, it's like 6 inches smaller of a circle, and the panhard is deflecting in both directions, so we're gonna correct it. I can't get over the change. The change is substantial. Now my worry is we're gonna make future changes and end up going backwards. Ooh, are we stuck? I don't want to fall in that hole. I know that will, this whole sequence is painful to some. Yeah, we're just gonna, you gotta know when to quit. This is his life, though. We're gonna beat that Dillway / GRC / whoever else it's sold by. We're gonna beat that body, and we're gonna see how long and how much it can withstand, because, I mean, big shoes to fill, metaphorically. He's got small shoes to wear, but big shoes to fill. Whenever I'm gonna go and pick him up and flip him over, it's still distracting to me that, like, it should be heavier. A Phoenix weighs a pound more than this. A Scottsdale weighs 2 pounds more than this. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Oh, set it back down. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We've done it. Is it success? No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this. We have fitted a vehicle with Element Blue Stripe SE springs, 3.4 pounds per inch, meaning his rear springs are some of the stiffest in the entire fleet. You know, because what else do we have that's super heavy? Jolly Green, 6x. Old Blue, the Marlin, leaf sprung. We don't have anything. I will tell you this. If you compare the two substances, ABS is way, I know slidier isn't a word, but slippery doesn't seem applicable enough. ABS is way slidier than Lexan. Lexan has this like grab to it. ABS, man, it's like he feels like the bottom of a boogie board. Just slides away. Now the problem we're having here, and the problem I think that might be remedied to a degree by the OG flat irons, is that transitioning onto Yellas is a grip and slip scenario, and megalithics, all grip, no slip. But what about a little, no, only grip. Megalithics, no, only grip. Boom, boom, slide. And then, yeah. You want to talk about knowing only grip? Never touched the steering wheel. Just powered up and rolled over. The CG, we're going to have to break out of the pure baseline mindset where he has no parts added purely for performance. Like, he's running brass C-hubs because he'd stripped out too many C-hubs. But he's still running stock knuckles, and he's running a Trial all alloy front axle housing because he'd killed too many front axle housings. This guy needs knuckle weights, 100%. The big Trial ones, if I can find them. And probably the Trial link mounts with the brass on them. I would like to put just a little bit of weight down low to help offset the 1.2 pound body. Oh, he does drive real good. When that bumper gets augered in, it really augers in. Can I get that belly around? Yeah. The underside of this boy here is going to be, baseline's worn pretty smooth, and baseline tests class 2s all day. This guy is going to be on class 1s and testing class 1s. The underside of him is going to be worn down like a skateboard after a decade of rail slides. That's what the bottom of this guy is going to look like. And this right here, right here, we have all that drive. Watch, we get it right here. Can we keep it down? He does not need a lot of weight. He needs a little bit. I can't get that front to settle. And I think a little bit of weight will do it. How about right there? Find a different little line of attack. What if we give a little? He does drop to wheels often, and the hot storms are notably heavier. This is another reason that I wanted to get away with Injora. That's putting 70 grams per wheel, which will really help offset the weight of that body. There's got to be a spot I can get. Yeah, see that front end gets real floaty right there? Get it over. Get it over. Nah, gets it up in the air, and there's just, and it's not full. I can see shock shaft there past the tire. So we're not at full collapse. I think the 3.4s are doing surprisingly well back there. And I don't think that so we're running a 2.4 in the front. I would go so far as to say a 2 pound in the front might be better. And ladies and gentlemen, I have that. The second set of springs that come with the fake Dravtex are 2 pound. They come with 1.2 pound and 2 pound. I think the 2 pound in the front might be the Jiminy Jam, because, like, let's see right here. Just smooth that front end out a little bit. I don't think we're going to be, so much drive in a Meg. Class 1 megalithic. So much forward drive. Okay, we levitating. I don't know what's stuck on what, but we floating. So I went and took a look at it, and remember when I said that there was a spot on the slider? I'm in a line with a pencil, and I was going to contour the bottom of those sliders so that they're not razor sharp. Well, they're razor sharp, and it was augured into that rock. I think we can get through here though. Ooh, spin it. It wasn't pretty. We had a perfect option. We had a perfect opportunity for a nice smooth ending. The scratches per wheel for this guy are going to be immeasurable. That decal that runs across the top of the roof is already pretty decently scarred up. Here in that closing moment, because I know there's only a select few that make it to here, the 404, the Canyon Arrows. For those who've been following along, why Wheelin' Wednesday has been on hiatus now for over a month, or around a month, is right over cheer. We are mostly done. We're mostly done. It needs painted. Obviously, I need to finish painting that door. We're going to finish painting the door. We're going to paint the pillars. We're going to paint the trim. We are going to paint the building. The building will be the same green as every other building around here. And then the concrete plant will be put back into a correct location, and that will be done. And then the highlight of 2024 will be taking down that just terrible, terrible thing and then building an obstacle in its place. So I hope you tune in to see that. And I mean, what a day! What a day by what a guy! Look how good he looks. Look at that. He's got the pitch and roll, but just like the right amount. I do love those. What are they? Sunrise, sunset. I do love those sunset decals on there. He's a good boy, and he's going to look better with those wheels, and everything will be correct. And I realized during one of the transitions, moving the camera, I realized we have no choice but to have that front wheel slightly further forward in the fender well, because if we had adjusted the front fender well first and the body was slightly further forward, the front and rear links would very nearly be equidistant. It'd be the same length, and that is not optimal. It makes things act weird. The Bushido uses the same length front and rear, and it will, what we call doodlebug, where it will tend to roll directly backwards because of the link lengths. And I did not want that here. I don't want this to do that. I want the rear links on this are still quite a bit longer than the front, about 15 millimeters longer, I want to say, which is relatively acceptable. So we are definitely not skid forward, and we would have had to try to move the skid forward at night. And the front of the can of the motor is basically almost touching the servo tray. So I don't know about us, but I personally have learned some things that when they did make some relatively substantive changes when they made the SE compared to the other flavors of Enduro, because the SEs are intended to be servo on axle from the go, and they make little tweaks and little changes that are almost transparent in transitioning it from chassis mounted steering to servo on axle. So I'm going to have to take a look at the other rigs that have been converted one way or the other and see if there are any discrepancies there. Like I say, four-link front servo and axle is kind of like cheating. It makes everything a lot easier. And a bunch of the problems that we've had to overcome was getting the servo up onto the chassis where it's supposed to be. Servo and axle in a Class 1 is weird. I mean, I get it, the scale thing. You gotta have some chassis mounted steering. And when he finally comes into his own name, Baseline was built to his name. Bronco, he might be, so he's Baseline's baby brother, the Bronco. That's like 5 Bs. He's almost like 5 Bs, which is not an enormous amount of bees. It's like a tiny swarm of bees. There's going to be bee involved in his name somewhere. Has to be. I don't know. We'll figure it out together. It is a beautiful morning. I'm having a wonderful day. I love it when a plan comes together, when I say that there are changes to make and I guesstimate those changes and then they work. Feels good, man. Out here under the blue skies with the chirpy birds. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. I don't have to wear shoes. It's a wonderful day. I thank you all so very much for joining me here on this wonderful day. I've got more tweaking and tuning to do on this guy. We got to get those wheels and tires swapped out. We got some other little changes to make. I do want to find something that makes it to where I don't have to get a power driver out to take his body off. But then I think, lazy now, work later, or work now, be lazy later. I haven't come to a conclusion. That body's going to be on and off another 100 times. So we'll arrive at something, or I've got to put an interior in it, etc. We'll arrive at something. I hope that you're around for that one. I hope that in between now and then, you want to all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time here from the Canyon. One of these days this year, as he drives out, as he drives out in between these currently 2 buildings. After this building is gone, no more, you won't be able to see the other shed anymore because the exit's going to be right over here. Coming or going, we'll see you next time, whether it's this gate or any other, here from the Canyon. Thanks for dropping by, everybody.